Hey everyone, I'm Nick LaRue from FilmSnobbery, and I'm here doing kind of remote, fun slam dance interviews. And my guest this morning for everyone, I guess, is
Yeah,
Ravit Markus, who is the director of Nina is an Athlete, which is playing at Slam Dance. And how are you today?
good. It's my morning, so I'm having my coffee with you.
Thank you. Yeah, it looks
Excited
beautiful out there.
here. Yes, it really is gorgeous.
Yeah, you picked a great Zoom background. No, I.
That was my thought.
So this is not your first time being at Slam Dance, and obviously that's not a completely uncommon thing. But I know that Slam Dance is famously set up pretty much for first-time filmmakers to premiere their films and stuff like that. But you're back for a second time. Uh, uh, First of all, what has changed for you personally from making your first movie and premiering it at Slam Dance till now?
Ah, well, it's been just a year, so it's. I would say I'm coming back wiser and definitely even more grateful than I was last year. And last year I was pretty grateful as is. I think last year we got in 8,000 submissions and we still made it in because they only accepted about 100 films. This year they actually had a record 12 or 13,000 submissions. So to make it in again is beyond. I'm just all gratefulness for being there. And but yeah, but also feeling like this time I'm gonna hopefully make better use of the festival. I know it, I've been there. Last time was my first time and it was very more nerve-wracking.
It's overwhelming when it's your first time there. I was there once, this was years ago as press, and I know what my job is when I get there, right? It's to interview fantastic people like yourself. But at the same time, there's just so much going on, and you
Yeah.
feel that festival energy kind of around you, and it just gets very overwhelming. And the altitude doesn't help. Um, so what attracted you to this story for Nina is an Athlete? And if you want to tell everyone who hasn't seen it yet a little bit about it, go right ahead.
So Nina is an athlete, is the journey of a wheelchair badminton champion and her 3-year journey to the Paralympics. And what drew me to it is that I just wanted to make a sports documentary. It's that shallow. I thought, oh, they're always so cool. I want to make this kind of cool documentary. And it evolved to, I think, a lot more. One of my favorite comments from my first audience at my world premiere at Slam Dance was that it's the epitome of womanhood. And it became this portrait of a woman in a major junction in her life. And I related to that junction, coming to a certain age, which again, it's not just womanhood. Every athlete fears it's kind of coming closer to 40. And this is usually when most athletes are expected to hang their shoes. And this moment is so critical to women who are thinking about their biological clocks and to every athlete. And this became a story of this woman who has these two biological clocks competing at the same time because she wants to have a baby, but she also finally has her first chance to be in the Paralympics. Because this was when we started following her, we found out that this is the first time that para badminton is becoming an official Paralympic event. So this is a huge opportunity. All athletes want that, but she suddenly has that competing desire. And it became this question, how far will she go? What is she willing to sacrifice with these two very big things in her life?
It's such a multifaceted film too, from those two angles especially, but also there's the angle of the aspects of it that were filmed around COVID and how that affected her timeline, so to speak. It's one of the rare instances where you hear that COVID kind of helped a little bit. It gave her time, to kind of have her pregnancy and have her child and do all that. It was really interesting. Was it difficult filming around all of that?
Of course.
Yeah.
You bet. A lot of things that I wish I could film. We had to have her own team, her coach film for us because we were just not allowed to send even a local camera person into many competitions. Filming in the Paralympics, I was not allowed in the Paralympic Village. It was my dream. I imagined us having these intimate conversations the night before, all that. I wasn't allowed. And even while filming her there, I was supposed to always be 6 feet away. Luckily, Nina, she doesn't care about rules. She said, "Your family, come give me a hug, and you're gonna come close, and I don't care what they say." And she was like, "I know you're fine, and you're not gonna." Because I said, "Oh, I don't want to. What if I caught something? I don't want to give you any disease. Because what if I got COVID on the plane? I don't care. You're giving me a hug, and you're coming close, and we're family." So so it helped that she's so bold and just doesn't care. But obviously, it was a challenge. Yeah, not being allowed to film in many competitions. That was again. Eventually, the premiere was wonderful. People just loved it, and the reviews so far have been wonderful. So obviously, we managed to work around it and became this challenge, a little bit like in her life, where what you thought was going to be a major hurdle is a hurdle, but it also helps because we had to think creatively in the editing room. How do we still make it work? How do we mix it in a way that feels authentic to the storytelling? And in a way, it added that authenticity and honesty that people have been commending about the film. You can see it's really made live in the scenes, and sometimes by the people in the scenes when we were not allowed.
And that's one of my favorite things about independent film, and just, um, being able to pivot when things happen, and being able to make changes on the fly, and roll with those challenges that kind of pop up. And Nina as a subject too is just she's incredible. There's so much about her that is just there's so much life in her, for her family, for her children, uh, for her sport, and for
Karen.
herself. There's just so much of everything there. That absolutely, when you say like you welcome her in, is your family, whatever, you can feel that from her, even in the film, and that is something that, yeah, I appreciate her honesty, not being afraid to show the pain, not being afraid to show, her sadness and her joy, of which there's a lot of, I mean, and it's, yeah, not what you necessarily expect, not only from any Olympian in general, more or less, now you're showing, disabled or Paralympian, what their struggles are. If weird, it doesn't feel like there's a struggle, but it doesn't feel any different than anyone else's. She makes it look, I don't want to say
And
she makes
that's
it
what
look
the point.
easy, but she makes it look achievable. And that was really uplifting. Yeah, you decided, like, okay, I want to make a sports documentary. Totally accomplished, by the way. When you do these things, what are the ways that you approach each project? Like, is it more based on kind of what you said, like, I want to do this kind of thing, or is it like, what we haven't done before? Let's try this, or is it something more personal to you?
First of all, I'm definitely drawn usually to stories of strong women who are charismatic and, like you said, are willing to share the hardships so you can appreciate with them the successes, but it comes from a point of strength.
Mhm.
So that is definitely something that I'm attracted to. And I would say my last few films had that, always a strong female lead. I'm not saying it's not that has to be, but that's definitely a personal thing of I'm interested in other women and how do they go through the world? How do they deal with some of the hardships that I have with being a woman and its difficulties, a woman approaching certain age, and what it means for you physically and emotionally. And so that was definitely a big part of it. One of the things I like about Nina is when she says to her father, "Oh, I didn't win the first place, only third. It's because I'm old." And she acknowledges it. On the other hand, when her spouse says it, when Doris says it, and he says, "Well, she's old." She's like, "What? You're burying me at 40?" So you see this relationship of kind of love hate with age and what it means, both as a woman and an athlete. And I love that. I related to that deeply. So I would say I would look for a story that has a compelling protagonist that I can relate to, because I think if I can relate to her, other people will as well.
Mhm.
And they have to be doing something that is a little bit like what you said, uplifting in the way that they're fighting the good fight. And not that Nina is thinks of herself as a warrior for any cause. She's just living her life, and her thing is para badminton. She was always athletic, and it didn't matter that she had an accident. She is an athlete. And that's very much, that's why the name of the film, it's a quote of her spouse. He just says, well, she's a mother, she's a school counselor, but first and foremost, Nina is an athlete. And that's how he sees her. And I love that. So that's how it became the name of the film. But it's definitely thinking of who can tell a story that I personally will relate to, and that will be fun for me to spend a few years, because documentaries take a long time. So you don't want to be committed to a person and a story that you personally are not invested in. Yeah. So I would say that's the main thing.
Did the story change at all in the edit? Where, because I know that in documentaries you're going to get a bunch of footage, and like you said, this one's a little more complicated because of COVID and the way that certain things had to be shot. Did you get any footage where you were like, oh, this is going to change the way that I originally saw this going?
I definitely developed over the making of the film the understanding that I didn't have from the beginning of how the immigration experience that she had at age 10. Yeah. I came to the conclusion, and it might not be her view of herself, but it was my view, and that's my role as the director and the creator of the film, to bring my point of view. And my point of view was that that really is where her resilience stems from, that strong experience of coming to a new place, which is a major move. And I can relate to it. I grew up in Boston until I was almost 5, and then we moved to Israel.
We're in Massachusetts right now. Yeah, that's where I'm from. Okay. So fantastic. Well, if you ever come back this way, say hello.
I will definitely. But I had that understanding that experience can shape who you are in many deep ways. And once I understood that how it affected her, I felt that this is something that I have to further develop in the film. So, you edit and you shoot, and you edit and you shoot. So this became something that I really wanted to come back to her parents' home, which has that still very different feel in it, and to delve and to come back to it with her in conversations, and to kind of dole out from her and like I said, she didn't even think about it that much. She's a doer, and I kind of kept pounding on it. So this is something that definitely evolved in the editing room, under me understanding the story and what to me is the heart of it.
Fantastic. And this will probably be my last question, because I know you're totally pressed for time, and I love that. That means you're busy, and that's great. So, the other aspect of this film that coming up right about now is obviously everything that is going on with Israel, and Palestine and all that kind of stuff. Have you gotten any sort of either pushback or comments about the film and just how Israel is portrayed in that film? Because even when you just bring it up, never mind show any footage, anything, like it just comes up and people want to say stuff. What is there? Has there been any either pushback or compliments or criticisms, whatever, from that point?
I definitely could see when I was accepted, I looked around because I wanted to partner with maybe some other Israeli filmmakers and say, let's do some event together. And I found out that I'm the only Israeli film in both festivals. There's no other Israeli film in either Sundance or Slamdance this year. I definitely feel at Sundance, Slamdance is tiny. So for one country to have one film, makes sense. Sundance, I was a bit shocked, and I wonder why, that there's no other films. There's a great Israeli film industry, and wonderful things are happening. Mm-hmm. And especially at a time like now, we definitely need all the support we can get emotionally. We feel very alone in the world, and it shouldn't be this way. But I didn't get any, if anything, people said, oh, because the film is just a story of this athlete. It's so universal. When people see it, they just see those awesome humans that any person can relate to anywhere in the world. And I think that's what they see. And hopefully this makes them think, maybe rethink some prejudices and assumptions they might have had before.
Absolutely. No. And that's how, you were able to showcase an entire culture of people that but doing it completely apolitically, which I really appreciated. It was more like a travel log in that kind of way, versus, where I'm just seeing the slice of life of this family and this athlete, this group of people, and seeing them at their most real and humble, and also, uh, you know, seeing their life unfold in front of them, childbirth and all these, and wins and losses and all that. It was fantastic. So I will let you get back to finish your coffee, and I will let you get back to the wonderful Park City. So thank you so much, Ravi, for sitting down, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your time in Park City.
Thank you for having me, and I hope I get to see you in Boston someday.
Please, absolutely. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.